Are y'all ready for another All-American recap review? Because tonight's theme episode hits on a lot of areas. I'm talking about Jordan's future, Liv's recovery, Spencer's scholarship, and much more. Y'all know I have my thoughts on this, so let's get into it. What up, everybody? It's your boy K-RayTV here from K-RayTV, and we are here for another All-American episode recap review. Y'all know how we do it here. I'm going to go through the episode detailing the plot and characters while giving my opinion, and then we're going to touch on the good, the bad, and the downright disrespectful from the episode. Before we get into that, like always, if you enjoy the content on the channel, support content creators, or just support your boy, then smash that like button as it helps and it goes a long way as we are on that road to the 10K. And if you're new here and want to join the best squad on the net, then show some love by hitting that sub, click the noti bell, hit all, and share like you care. Again, it is much appreciated and it goes a long way. Now, then we done took care of business. Let's get into the review. Episode 11, titled The Bigger Picture, starts off with Liv on her long-forgotten podcast, Live the Truth. And she goes into how labels have followed her entire life. From the twins, or being called the twins, being called an addict, and most recently, the DA's daughter. However, those labels didn't give her justice or it justice, as it doesn't show the entire picture of a person or a situation. This was important because this is going to be the theme or the driving force behind Liv's action this episode, and it's going to play an important part altogether. Then we shoot over to Crenshaw as Spencer is working on his football drills. Texas Northern Tech's recruiter is watching him alongside with Billy. And he states that the bullet did not stop Spencer one bit, and Spencer is at the top of the list for TNT. Billy and Romello Barnum talk about how the recruiting game has changed and endorsements are different, and how athletes can create buzz themselves with things like social media. And this is important as well because this is the subplot of the episode, and that this one conversation is going to play a huge part in the direction that this episode goes in. Spencer finishes his drill, comes over to meet Romello, and Romello asks if Spencer always goes that hard in training, and Spencer said it doesn't matter if it's a game or practice, he always gives it 150%, and the coach is impressed. He leaves Billy and Spencer to talk as Spencer is in disbelief as all this is happening, and Billy has to remind him that he has been worried about recruiting for this whole year, and now that he got it, he needs to go get his dream. And I'm like, thank you, Billy. Somebody tell him something. Spencer has his worried look on his face for a few seconds before it finally dawns on him, and then he smiles. As All-American logo comes onto the screen, and that's how we start the show. Peoples are creatures of habits, and sometimes, without even noticing, we tend to go back to certain patterns, and Spencer has a tail, which is his face, and I can read the scene pretty well from it. We'll discuss what I mean later on in the review, and want to bring that up here now. We jump over to the baker's residence, and Jordan is bumming it up on the couch, playing the the Xbox Series X, which looks like with 2 weeks of stank on him. And Jordan right now is going through a phase because before now he has had his life mapped out. And because the doctor said that he may not play football again, he is stuck in limbo. Jordan has been cleared for light activity, which is a good sign. However, because he can't fully suit up, he is depressed. Liv asks if he heard from Slick Mouth Simone, and he says no because Laura told Simone's parents before they could that they are married, and communication as of now is excommunicado. Jordan jokes about, her being probably being shipped to a convent, as Laura comes in the room on the phone talking about getting the fraudulent Mary unknown, and Jordan quickly speaks up and says, "You know I can hear you, right?" And as Laura was about to get in his neck, Billy comes in and saves the day. Immediately reading the room, he takes Laura to the side and asks if she can put a pin in the annulment and instead focus on Jordan's recovery. Laura is still not listening and says what she is doing, and because that she's a woman, she can multitask. I wish active listening was on the list of multitasking because I was actually on Billy's side. Like, hear me out. Laura got all on Simone's case, saying that Jordan was priority number one as far as his health and recovery goals. Now, as we can see, that man been sitting in the same stank for 2 weeks. His part done grew out of his hair. Brother got facial hair past the 5 o'clock shadow. He playing the whack box. You know he got to be sick to be on that. And he can't even talk to the woman that he snuck out and forced your signature to marry. And he doesn't want to do anything. Like, where is that helping him? Because I couldn't find it. Anywho, we jump over the same face Coop and Layla as she is studying for her GED. I swear, like every time these two are on my screen together, I should be notified with a trigger warning because one of them, if not both, is going to irk my nerves. So something is off with Layla as Coop calls her out about it because she's not there in the moment and it's kind of being counterproductive to Coop's study for her GED. Layla opens up and says, like, how does she miss that her best friend... Hold up, let's stop right there. Like, where? In what universe were they best friends? Like, don't try to bring that, don't come here talking about they were friends before the show. Like, because the writers have went out their way. They have went out their way to make it clear that every time they try to be friends, it ends up imploding and Liv ends up giving way more than Layla. Like, the girl just cried out for help and gave you back the sobriety chip, yet you wouldn't even budge. Like, Layla didn't even budge. And to make matters worse, same face Coop says, Layla missed it because Liv hit it well. Talk about semantics. Like, Coop has made it clear that Liv is not her friend and she does not care for her at all. Then her dusty self gonna offer Layla some advice saying guilt does nothing but weigh a person down, so either deal with it or let it go. Two things she has not done herself, I may add, but I digress for now because we will pick this back up later. So let's go ahead and table that. Moving on, we jump over to Dylan, and my boy is back. And he is not alone, folks. He is not alone. He got a little cutie pie with him by the name of Jasmine. As these two talk, Grace comes to get Dylan, and Jasmine says that her dad must be in traffic because normally he's on time. Not too much later, Principal Carter shows up and surprises Grace. But the look she gave him wasn't a, oh, I didn't know you had a daughter look. It was a, dang, I kind of want to jump your bones now that I know that you have a daughter look. Like, like what, am I wrong? We jump back over to Spencer's place and we have Jabari and Nani chilling with him as he over there making him a good old sandwich while discussing TNT, the bad boys of football. Ignoring all the red flags of the team's persona and image, Spencer is going back to the same patterns and habits that I mentioned earlier. Because the other coaches haven't officially given him an offer yet, he's in panic and rush mode and he's trying to take the first thing that comes along. Like, offers sometimes take a while. They don't happen instantaneously. But Spencer, James, can't pump his brakes to see that. To make it worse, Nani shows him a picture of Romello and Cam together, and it seems like Spencer isn't the only one that TNT is looking at, and Spencer gives that I'm about to do something dumb look, and I'm like, do we really have to do this again? Next scene, we get Liv and Nurse Joy out for coffee, and they're going over how Liv is doing. Joy is making Liv face the truth and stop covering up everything with, the whole I'm fine or I'm good, that little label she puts out there every time, just layering it over everything. Even during her bad days, if she does the work, that is progress. And Joy compliments Liv for that. And I like this relationship they're building. Like, this is what Liv needs. Someone that's going to push her and not let her slack or use excuses to cover up for not doing the work. Liv mentions that she is covering Tamika's gathering event on her podcast, Live the Truth, to help raise awareness. And while that is a great act of service, Joy lets her know she needs to pace herself because sometimes fixating on solving other people's problems to avoid doing the work and fixing the problems on your own is another form of addiction. And I stood up like, can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? Because I'm glad somebody said it. Liv needs to just be worrying about herself right now and no one else. Will she listen though? What y'all think? Spencer walks up as they're talking, and you can feel the love in the air. I'm talking about, I was over there humming some Lion King. I'm over there, can you feel? Like, boy, the way they was eyeballing each other down, I thought they were going to change the rating for, like, TV 13. But, you know what I'm saying? And what's funny is, though, like when he says hey to Liv, he is so much in a trance or so enamored by her that he doesn't even notice Nurse Joy sitting right next to him before Nurse Joy Nurse Joy has to actually say like hey before he noticed her like oh hey. And I was like, boy, you got it bad. He then inquires about Jordan because he can't get Jordan to reply back to him besides one more messages. And Liv says he's in a funk that they can't seem to get him out of. And he said he'll keep trying. And he ends conversation there as he heads to work. All the while, Nurse Joy's mouth is wide open, just on the floor, just black out. Like, and she wants all the tea between them two. And don't y'all worry, y'all. Like, she got eyes, so she see all of it just like we see all of it. And Liv does nothing but smirk and glow because she could not deny that chemistry. Like, hell, I couldn't deny that chemistry. I got a little jelly over here. Like, don't be looking at him. Like, look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now. Next, we jump back over to the Bakers. And Asher and JJ show up because Jordan is depressed. He is, like, snapping at any and everyone that tries to bring him back into the light. He throws major shade at JJ saying, like, for him not to suck so much as QB1 and maybe they won't lose another game. And I'm like, bruh, hashtag JJ did nothing wrong. Like, you didn't have to go that hard in the paint, my dude. Like, I get it. You don't know how to process how you feel, and anger is the easiest emotion to express. I was glad that JJ didn't just walk out and leave, but instead took the trash out with him. And by trash, no, I do not mean ashy, but that Xbox Series X, like, so he took it unhooked and said, yo, if you want it back, this will be on the field with him and Ashy. And I was like, that's how you do it. Plus, Jordan don't want them problems anyway. Like, JJ looked like he got some hands, so I knew Jordan wasn't going to say or do anything. So, hey, JJ, do your thing, my guy. Like, sometimes you got to go to the extreme to get the boy to get up and do something. So, I was proud of that. Next, we jump over to same face Coop as she is stanking it up studying for her GED. Preach comes up from behind her and schools her on what she is studying and lets her know that the mind is the strongest muscle, and if you keep it exercised, they won't be able to stop you. And that there, my folks, was a gem. Go ahead and let that marinate. But the real takeaway here is when he was talking to Coop, he compares social studies to the art of studying people, like their patterns, their habits, even their living places. And this is how you survive. And I'm like, boy, Coop don't even know that that is the real gem being dropped in this instant. Mo has been doing that to Coop the entire season. Hell, since the end of last season. And if Coop doesn't catch up, she might end up where Sean and Tyrone is. Sorry I had to take y'all there, but it's true. Coop needs to wise up and wise up quickly. Next thing we jump back to the Bakers, and Laura's watching Mo talking to the press about the body cam footage not being released, and Laura cuts it off as Liv comes into the house. Liv gets right into the mix, asking her mom if she's handling the case and if she would like to give comments or come on her podcast. And Laura lets her know that, she can't talk about the case and she can't appear to have any conflict of interest as the case is very delicate. The way that she looks as she searches for the right words to Liv shows or hints at that the case is more than it seems and it has to be handled right the entire way to achieve a certain outcome. Like, you can tell that Laura's trying to, you can tell Laura's making sure not to seem that she is wavering either left or right on the subject matter, and that shows the severity of the situation. Next thing we get Mama Grace back at Crenshaw, and it looked like she was picking up some supplies, I guess, and here comes Principal Carter, and they start talking. My lips was already tight like black, because most of y'all already forgetting all this dustiness beforehand, and all y'all is Team Garner, and I'm like, he gonna have to earn my like. Anywho, Mama Grace takes a dig at him, saying that his daughter is impressive that she must get it from her mother. Carter agrees and says that the mother passed some time ago and he's raising his daughter on his own. And Grace apologizes for it. And you can tell them walls on Grace and some of y'all out there are starting to come down as Carter slides right into y'all hearts and y'all minds and becomes more human in y'all eyes. Like, get it together. Next thing, we get Spencer talking to the recruiter Romello, and he wanted to know why the certain interest now versus back then. And this dusty mofo says, because Spencer got shot and has an edge, and that is why TNT wants him. Like, as he continues to jive his way around, Coop is eavesdropping, and you can see that she's concerned about Spencer and what the coach is telling him. Preach even calls her out about it, saying, like, for someone who she isn't friends with anymore, she's all in his business. She plays it off by changing the subject, but we know Coop was Spencer's beacon, and she always got him straight when he started to charter off course. And now she's acting and embodying ignorance, so she's just a bystander to the entire process. The coach is trying to convince Spencer that hashtag bad boy Spencer James is the way to go, and Spencer decides that it's time to get up and leave. And before he goes, Romello puts a bug in his ear and says, the social justice thing is commendable, but don't let it get in the way of the dream. Achieve the dream, and that will help the people. Now, it's funny because that part is true. Hell, I even said that in my episode 11 preview. However, the way he presents it has hidden agendas. Like, he wants Spencer to throw away his morals and his beliefs for the sake of the dream, while I would rather have him keep those morals and beliefs and still make it. And I hate that it's another brother that's trying to like coon Spencer into this like 360 deal. But hey, the football life isn't easy, and everyone's not out to help you achieve your goal if it's not aligned with their success. Like, I think I gotta say it again for the marinate. Everyone is not out to help you achieve your goals if it's not aligned with their success. Remember that. That's a gem. That's a bar. We finally hop over to the flower vigil for Tamika, and we get a Kia sighting. Liv mentioned that she thought it would be more people, and Kia says like she expected this outcome because when a woman is slain, it doesn't cause that much of a ripple compared to a man, and that it's not highlighted the same. Mo interrupts to let Kia know that they're ready to start, and Kia introduced Liv to Mo. Mo immediately uses a label and calls Liv the DA's daughter, and you can see on Liv's face that Liv doesn't like it. And then Mo compliments Liv and Kia, saying women like them give hope to the next generation and that she listens to Liv's podcast. And I'm like, so did you call her that label on purpose? Or was the beginning of the podcast something she recorded or earlier and hasn't like released it yet? But however, she called her a label. Anywho, they start speaking on Tamika's character, starting with her cousin, who looks fine, by the way, but now's not the time. And Coop and Spencer share a look, and you can see that they miss each other. And Coop then takes the stage and gives a dope speech as well, highlighting what Tamika deserved. And as she speaks, Liv starts to cry, and Kia comforts her. Like, Coop's speech was wonderful, and I had no objection to what she was saying. I got mad because I seen Mo standing there with them yams looking all good, and I was like, can we not? I'm trying to focus on the speech. And again, this is not the time. All right? Shout out to Kia too and Liv too, because they was all looking. All right? As the event seemed to be ending, we get Liv crying while looking at Tamika's pictures, while Spencer came over there and told her, not to compare situations and not to take all that onto herself, as her and Tamika's situation was completely different. Liv immediately shows one of her mom traits where she doesn't hear, but instead start talking about how they're not their difference. The only difference was Tamika pulled over instead of driving, and Liv kept driving until she crashed. Also, she is the daughter of a white DA, so she got driven home versus Tamika, who was shot, and she wants to know how is that fair. Spencer tries again to try to reassure Liv that she is doing exactly what Nurse Joy said not to do, and which is taking this fight onto herself, and in a way making it about her more than Tamika. And she says the lines, Tamika is not here to fight for her justice, but I am. I owe her that much. I know many of y'all probably jumped for joy in that moment. However, I did not. Like, Liv is sick, y'all. Addiction is a illness, and she barely just got a sponsor 2 seconds ago. Remember, I said people are creatures of habits, and they have habits and patterns. And this is Liv's. Instead of focusing on her own needs, and healing, she is avoiding them to take up another fight. Raising awareness on your podcast, showing up to the vigil, even when you the DA's daughter, is helping Tamika's cause. You don't have to spearhead it, jumping from one category of addiction to another. Liv did not have to take this on, and I was not feeling it for her character's sake. But hey, y'all know me, I digress. We jump over to Billy talking to Romello, who wants Billy to lean on Spencer to convince him to take whatever image he gives him to go to TNT, which will lead him to the NFL. Billy is like, nah, like the NFL needs someone like Spencer. However, Romello is not convinced that the league has changed one bit and says they haven't even offered Kaepernick his position back. He like, all these people apologizing and doing all this extra, yet they ain't gave his job back. So how much have it changed? And I'm like... Anywho, we hop over to the coffee spot, and Grace and Dylan are ordering some tea, I believe. And Dylan sees his boo Jasmine with soap opera villain, and he goes over there to say hi. I laughed at this because he just walked over there and sat down like, bump what y'all doing, I'm here now. And I was cracking up, but he did speak though, but I was laughing. Carter sees Grace and immediately gets up and starts talking. Like, Grace offered him some advice earlier to spend more quality time with his daughter to let him know that he will always be there, and he did it. But now he says she hasn't eaten anything and her stomach has been hurting her all week, and Jasmine gets upset by this and walks off. Grace has Dylan go check on her order and then lets Carter know that he needs to have the talk with his daughter about menstrual cycles because she was sure that his daughter started hers about a week ago. Then like it clicked, and Carter felt like a complete ass because he missed the signs. But hey, soap opera villain, I'm a man too. And my dumb self heard all the signs and still missed it. So, so don't feel bad, my light-skinned brother. I missed it too. And I'm over here analyzing and doing this review. So, go figure. Grace says she can talk to Jasmine for him, but he said he's ready. He has flashcards, PowerPoints, even Janelle Monáe's pink already geared up. And Grace was like, nah, like Baltimore voice, too much. Like, calm down and just have a talk with her. Jordan stopped by and Billy leaves to let them talk. Jordan is surprised that TNT is out there as Spencer hasn't been looking at Texas schools and whatnot. And he wondered why Spencer didn't tell him. But Spencer didn't want to rub the good news in his face considering what he was going through. And Jordan didn't want people tiptoeing around him. However, Spencer doesn't know what he wants because Jordan hasn't or isn't talking to anyone. And Jordan finally opens up and asks Spencer, like, how does he do this? Like, how did he do it? Like, after he got shot, how did he pick himself back up and continue moving forward? Spencer told him to take it day by day, feel what he feels, and not to focus on the uncertainty. Like, get up and remind yourself every day that every day is worth living. And that's what Jordan needed. And I was happy about that. Shout out to Spencer for giving him great advice and for Jordan receiving advice. Like, he went looking for answers and he got it. Jordan then apologized to Spencer, saying that he is sorry that he made Spencer feel like he couldn't share his dope news with him, and no matter what happens, he will always celebrate his boys' wins. And when he said that, he realized he owes another person an apology and another celebration, so he gets up and leaves. And I was like, this is the growth I like seeing on Jordan. Like, it may have taken him 2 weeks that we didn't see, but once he got up and started looking for them answers, and when he got them, he immediately applied them to himself and then went to go rectify his wrongdoings. Like, yes, we got to clap it up for that. That takes a lot. Trust me, I've been there. We jump back over to the vindictive Betty, same face Coop and Layla. And Layla apologized about leaving Coop hanging earlier and notices that Coop is working on a video for guess who, y'all? Yep, Spencer. And Layla is confused as why Coop is doing this, as this is supposed to be like a Spencer free zone between those two. And Coop says just because they're not friends anymore doesn't mean the caring stops. Also, this is what Spencer needs right now, and by doing this can let their friendship rest in peace, as she does not want the last thing they had between each other to be an argument. I was feeling everything she said into the rest in peace comment. Like every time I start feeling Coop saying she messed up a hot line, like, really, Coop? What got me here is that she is willing to talk to Mo and apologize. She can offer people all this advice, Yet she still can't talk to someone who she grew up with, who you're still trying to be involved in their life, who you still care for, but pride is going to be was what is going to hurt you the most because you're too prideful to speak to your day one. Now, if you decide to move on after talking to him, then yes, it will end peacefully and on a good note. But until you do, both of y'all will have regrets. But I digress because I gave Coop too much of my time already. While she is saying all this, Layla looks like the light bulb turned on, and I instantly got mad because I now knew then how she would be inspired by Coop. And I ain't here for it. I'm not. But let's put a pin in that thought for now and move on to the next scene. We jump over to Crenshaw High as Billy gathers a team for what they think is an impromptu practice. However, instead it's a financial literacy class where he was going to teach them for the next 6 weeks so that they know and understand how money works and they won't be taken advantage of. So they'll be well equipped. And this is something that you all should take advantage of. Learn the money game. Like, learn the difference between a saving account, a CD, a mutual fund. Learn how to make your money work for you instead of you working for your money. Learn the tax laws. Learn the difference between a W-2 and a 1099. Learn about tax write-offs, etc. Like, trust me, this will help you in the long run. Like, I almost started teaching the class myself, you know? We jump back over to the James residence as Grace and Dylan are playing checkers and are interrupted by knock on the door. And you already know who it is. You know who it is. It is Principal Carter bringing some flowers. He wanted to thank Grace because the talk worked for his daughter, who now thinks he's dope. Before she wasn't talking to him, now she over there bragging about him. And she doesn't want to take the flowers at first, but he insists and she takes them. And then he comments about them going a whole day without arguing. And Grace says, like, we still got time. And I'm sitting here looking like, dang, man. Like, even though I called it a while ago, like, bruh, like, they do look good together. These dusty riders got him looking like a good fit. However, that don't mean we like him yet, so we not doing that. We jump back over to Crenshaw. Everyone's leaving the class, and Spencer gets a video message from Coop showing him a speech he gave when he was younger, about his dream of playing football. And you can hear a young Coop in the background talking some stuff, hyping the boy up. And this makes me literally shake my head because season 1 and 2 Coop was dope together with Spencer. Like, that team was amazing. And I just hate to see where they are now. They need to, put their pride to the side. Well, Coop needs to put her pride to the side and actually, get back together. Like, y'all know y'all both want to. So, this reminds Spencer of his worth, and he calls the coach from TNT. And we go back to the Bakers, and Liv comes in rather than gather folk as she gets in her mom's neck about not releasing the tape. And how her and Tamika was very similar, yet she got to walk away. And Laura cuts her off and asks, like, is she going to listen to her? And Laura says, like, she grieves every day for Tamika and her family, and that their situation was and is different from Liv's situation. And Liv says, I guess we will never know, but says, hey, I guess your daughter is safe, right? Like, man, can we get Laura a class in Graceology 101? Because I'm tired of seeing her get dragged in these streets by these little kids. Like, no way in hell would that have happened if that was Grace. Like, please help Laura out. Start a GoFundMe or something because this is now beyond sad. Get that woman some help. Moving on, we jump over to Crenshaw, and Spencer, with Billy behind him, is willing to let the coach from TNT know that if they want to have him, they need to take him how he is and not this made-up image. But the man that took a bullet for his friend worked his way back up to being the most requested player on the field. And that he was willing, to pass up this offer if that wasn't an option. Romello, he actually appreciated this stance. And he was like, hey, we'll talk to, our people and see what they say. Now we jump back over to Liv, who is piecing together her podcast. And guess who showed up? Yes, Layla, with that dang sobriety chip. Like, I am not here for the Layla and Liv friendship. I am not. I appreciate the offer. Like, at first I was like, Hoppo, who this woman? because she shouldn't even been let in the house. But since she was, I appreciate the sentiment. Now go, like in my ghost voice, go, like this is a situation ship that no one needs, and I'm not here for it over there quoting Coop. Like, man, go on, get out of here. Then we get another voiceover monologue as it repeats the line from the show's opening from Liv's podcast, and it did show a scene where Billy and Romello, Romello brings up the fight between Carter and Billy, and it says Billy just snapped, and no one knew what got into him, and Billy still doesn't recall a fight, and that's crazy to me because either you didn't beat him up or something jacked up going on with you that you can't remember that, because that man said you punched him to the white meat. Like, so we got to figure out what happened there. We jump over to Jordan, who apologizes to JJ and Ashley for how he was acting, and he celebrates JJ for making QB1, and then he offers his help, and I was like, again, go ahead, Jordan. Then we hop back over to Spencer as he thanks Coop for the video via text. And then we jump back over to Liv, who finished her speech saying, forget the hashtags, we need the whole picture. And she plays a video of the incident that she took from her mom's computer showing what happened to Tamika. She then wraps up her speech by highlighting Tamika's accomplishment in her schoolings and how labels saved her life being Liv, and while labels took Tamika's life. She then goes at the system saying it's time to defund the police and really get justice for Tamika, and the show ends. Man, this episode gave two powerful speeches and really painted the direction the next episode or two will go in, as this one move will affect many people moving forward. Alright? So now let's discuss and get into the good, the bad, and downright disrespectful. I liked everything Liv said in the podcast, and I didn't mind her taking the fight there or online or in the streets, whatever. However, leaking the tape, I was not cool with. I know a lot of people is not going to agree with me. However, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scene, and that tape wasn't released for a reason. It can be more to the story as to why Laura stated that the situation was much different and that the situation is delicate. And Laura doesn't seem like the person to try to cover up something. When she was running for the DA, she is the one that brought up, the family's business because her running mate was playing unfair. Remember, even Grandpa Willie even commented on the work that she was doing, and she has two biracial kids who we all know is black. When Jordan was thrown on the ground by the police, they sent a black man, not no biracial man. So she knows what is at stake, which is why she can't be perceived as being on one side or the other. Liv leaking that tape not only breaks the law, but it puts her mom's job on that case in jeopardy. Maybe not her DA position overall, but her position on the case. This is the same woman who wanted to look for other options instead of sending you to rehab when Billy was ready to ship you off and lick the steps as he did it. This is the woman who was just at an AA meeting to better help you. This is the woman who sent you to the Muse where all these black women to help you relate to that side as well and to build you up. This is that same woman. And what you did was pull someone down with you again. She did it to Spencer when she asked him to lie for her and switch seats. And now she's doing it with her mom by leaking the tapes. The daughter of the DA didn't care what happened to her. Like, how does it's gonna look like when they find out the DA's daughter leaked the tape? It's gonna seem like Laura is choosing sides and having her daughter doing the dirty work. And Liv was wrong for that, and I'm man enough to say it. Sorry. Now, the good. Jordan did some good this episode. After realizing he was wrong, he did what was right, and I appreciate when the show shows some maturity with him because that boy definitely needs it. Billy, for trying to get Laura, to lighten up and look at different options and to focus on Jordan's health overall, and for always being there for Spencer when in need. And Grace for getting Carter all the way right. She stepped in and got him all the way right. He's dealing with a daughter, and he's a man. And like how they always say a mother can't teach a man how to be a man. Like a guy can't teach a daughter how to be a daughter. I got like sisters galore. And I missed the common signs watching this, so he need help. He need help. The bad. I would say the patterns that they had Spencer and Liv go back to. Like, how many times is it going to take for them to learn the lessons already? Like, how many times have they been here before? They should be able to teach the course already, but yet they tend to keep reverting back to it, and I wasn't here for it at all. And also Laura for always getting drugged. Like, help this woman out, please. I'm getting tired of seeing it. Now, the downright disrespectful. Y'all already know it's Miss Olivia Baker. She started off this episode great and then irked me for the rest of it. Like, Liv not only did not listen to her sponsor, she possibly took her mom off the case. What happens if someone worse gets put in charge? Mo is a lawyer and is doing what she is needed to get them to show the tape. Why couldn't Liv let them do their job? She had to make it about herself and had to just try to fix something else. Instead of just focusing on her own self-healing, the writers keep adding mess on top of mess when it comes to Liv. She can't get what Layla got or what Spencer got, which is a detailed story of her healing and her coming to her own. Nope, she has to be thrown into love triangles or having her drinking during the summer yet and still haven't told us why. Like, what was the reason? Like, what was the reason? Cardi B voice. What was the reason? Like, what made her drink consistently during the summer? Where did her PTSD go? Instead of using that, we get this. And I'm not here for it. Everyone knows it is body cam footage does not immediately come out when something happens. Usually when people hear about it, it's already past it being like live or just recent. So it takes a lot of time to come out. It's a delicate situation. And what if, let me just throw it out there, what if there's more? What if that was just one tape showing one side, but what if we have another tape that shows much more? And now you leaking it, which is against the law, you leaking it kind of like derails that case because you're going to have them thinking one way. And then when they release the whole tape, then that's going to really, like, why would you do that to a family? Like, if I know if something happened to me and they release something about me or, read something about me, and let's say I did something ignorant, but let's say the first tape, it looked like I was innocent, but then the second tape, I looked like I was reaching for something real quick, and that is why they shot me or something. Like, you gonna release the first tape, then my family gonna be like, see, I knew it, and you gonna get them all riled up and whatnot for them to see the second tape and be like, why would y'all release the first tape then if y'all had this one? You get what I'm saying? So it could be a lot of stuff going on, but we don't get that because Liv took it in her own hands to break the law and release the tape before it was time. Feel how you feel, but that's my opinion on it. That's my thoughts on it. So, Liv, yes, you made that downright disrespectful list. I hope you enjoy the recap review. If you made it this long and this far, you are the real MVPs. I can't wait to read your thoughts on tonight's episode. Let me know who or what made your list. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you in the next video. We out. Peace. You just come running by.